So Al wrote in and he said, when talking with people who are in favor of gun regulation, how do you sell or convince them on the value of gun ownership for themselves and for others? So talking to somebody who doesn't want guns around, how do you handle that, Patrick?
Well, first of all, I want to let Anthony know that he's not trapped in the show, and anytime you would like to bounce out, you're welcome to. You're also welcome to hang out and stay and participate if you'd like. You know, you're already wired into the video. You do you, man.
Cool.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. This is actually my first time on one of these kind of videos. I tried getting on Eric July's, but he was going on a rant about comics, so I didn't want to, get on his bad side. But thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the question is, how do you talk to anti-gunners about why they should like guns? Why they should not be anti-gun?
Yes. Well, I kind of dragged it out a little bit when I was explaining it to Kaysen, but it was just basically moderates and how, you try to explain to them about gun ownership and how, self-defense to them, I guess, to the individual I was speaking to, he thought, the self-defense argument against tyranny was like a sort of fringe argument. And I was just trying to see, well, how do you kind of discuss that with him and try to explain it? I mean, I gave him instances and examples of tyrannical things that this very own government has done, and it wasn't enough to convince him. So I was just like, well, where do I go from there? If that makes sense.
There's several angles depending on the personality type of who you're talking to. You can go confrontational or you can go, Socratic, right? And so the Socratic one is more like the against me argument, which is basically saying things like, actually, let's call it the reverse, the reverse against me, the against you argument. So you try and boil down their core principle that they're using. Mm-hmm. Which is to say, they'll say things that have nothing to do with the core principle. They'll say things like, well, people just shouldn't be allowed to own assault rifles or Uzis or, whatever word that they think means scary gun. But the principle at play there is that the rule that they're wanting enforced is pieces of property that they, in their personal opinion, judged to be bad, they think it's acceptable to use force to make you own or not own or behave in the way that they want you to behave. They are saying that they think force should be used against you. Threats of force and actual force should be used against you to control what property you own based on their personal preferences of what's scary or dangerous or whatever. So a lot of times you can just say, so, that's kind of like what you're doing. Like you have decided in your own personal opinion, and I love saying personal opinion because that's kind of a layman term and they'll know what you mean by that. In your personal opinion, you think it's right to use force to control what the people around you own just based on your own little opinions. Okay, so that's the rule. Do I then get to form my own opinions about the property that you now currently own? And if you own something that I think is bad, I get to literally have groups of men with guns come and murder you if you don't give up that property? Is that cool with you? You would do, and then flip it around, give it to them both ways. You would do that to me, your friend? Would you come to my house with no guns, right? Would you come to my house and force me to give up property that I own? Who the hell are you to even have a say in what I peacefully own? And I use the word peacefully often because it's another layman word. Everyone knows what peacefully means. So you're saying that you have the right to forcibly control me, to violently control me, to violently control what I peacefully own. It just like I hit him with that kind of contradiction, that incredulity, that kind of, wow, I thought we were friends. You want me violently controlled for peaceful ownership? You think it's cool if I violently control what you own just based on my personal preferences? Are you insane? Like, I know that's not like a philosophical argument, the are you insane, but that's a more normie argument because You just kind of hit him with the shock and awe, the gasp, the fainting couch. I thought we were friends. Why do you want me attacked? Why would you think that? I thought we were having a polite. Are you not a polite? What's the word? Are you not a civilized person? Why are you going to use violence on peaceful people to make them behave how you want them to? That's one way.
Should use the term tolerant.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's I can see that approach. And really, the whole reason why we even started talking about guns in the first place was because I looked into something, I guess, because of the recent shooting that happened in Virginia. They mentioned that Trump was very no on the silencers, I guess is what I read on one of the articles. And I don't know where the conversation went from there. And, they kind of he kind of was like, oh, well, you're using this argument. It's kind of like the whole, well, if bump stocks get banned, that's not a big deal, and I was telling them, well, if we start going from one thing to the next gets banned, and then where does it stop? Where do they get the justification? I guess that's where we kind of I guess the goalposts ended up getting moved a little bit, but we kind of were circling around the whole gun ownership thing, if that makes sense.
And so a lot of times what they'll do, and I can play both sides because I've done this so many times, right, is they'll go somewhere like, well, society, has to have rules. We live in society and society has rules, and it's okay if, society, and they start anthropomorphizing concepts, which is especially collectivized concepts. They'll take a thing called society, they'll give it legs, arms, and, guns, and talk about it like it acts in the world in any capacity whatsoever. But they'll say, go ahead.
So the argument that I typically use is kind of just going to say that. Sorry, guys. Just so you know, what do I call the person on Discord? Sorry, I missed your name. I apologize.
Oh, Al.
That's Al Grand.
Yeah.
Al Grand. So we actually
Al cannot hear Anthony. Just so you know, that's
yeah, because Anthony's not in Discord. Okay.
Anthony, can you join Discord?
On.
If you need to put get the other guy in to get his question, that's fine. I have no.
If you have a quick question, just tell me and I'll repeat it real quick. Otherwise, I'm going to continue my rant.
So
no, go ahead. I'm just enjoying the rant.
The argument that I typically use for this is to point out the hypocrisy in it. Like you're asking somebody not to have guns, and
I'm listening to Anthony. So he's just saying that
having guns take away your guns.
Yeah, he points out the hypocrisy in anti-gun legislation. What he's saying is that it's kind of silly and self-contradictory to say that you don't think people should be able to own guns, yet to enforce that you need a big group of people to own guns to enforce those laws.
And I typically point out that fundamentally, this would mean that some people are superior to other people.
I didn't know he was talking. I was looking at the video and at the Discord at the same time. I apologize.
All good. We're trying to loop in Discord to let some of the Discord people, because our Discord community has been growing really quickly, and there's a lot of highly intelligent people in there that I've had some amazing conversations. So I just want to kind of get these people more involved on the stream sometimes. Yeah. Where was I going? Oh, I was talking. So they start appealing to society and how society needs rules, and the rules limiting, what you can own in terms of dangerous stuff, have to be enforced for the good of society. Crap, I lost it. Somewhere in there I lost it. What was I saying?
Making society a real person. I forget. I can't pronounce it. Anthropomorphizing it.
Yeah, so they take it. So when you say, well, who are you? Where do you get the authority to, enforce your subjective opinions on what property is and isn't too dangerous for me to own against my consent? When you say, where do you get that authority? And they say, well, it's not me, it's society. It's all of us together, voting and the system and blah, blah, blah. You say, okay, well, let's figure this out. If you're not enough on your own, because most people would admit that they do not personally have the right to use force on you to control what you own. You say, well, what's the number? Can you and a friend get together and vote and then come to my house and violently enforce your subjective opinions on me? Not 2? Oh, okay. How about 3? How about 5? How about if you got everybody in your little HOA, your homeowners association, if you got them all together and they voted, how many human minds, how many human wills does it take to erase your consent? My consent. You make it against me, because you got to make it personal in these conversations to get the point across. How many humans does it take to erase my property, to erase my consent, to completely, justly violate my most sacred consent? How many people? What is the number? And then you just walk them through it. Like, there is no magical number of humans between 1 and 99% of the population of this geographic area, where suddenly that clicks and morality inverts itself, and now this group of people has the right to violate your consent and your property. That it doesn't exist is the point. And that's another way to kind of take them through it. But that will trigger a lot of other things, like, you know, the legitimacy of the entire state.
Yeah, well, I don't want to have to go through another 3-hour conversation of why the state is immoral with my friend again, because luckily he's a little bit more civilized than other individuals, but, you know, I don't want to have to risk him going, you know, AWOL on me. But no, I appreciate you and Case and everybody giving me the opportunity or the platform to ask my question, but I'm going to be heading on out. I appreciate it.
No, really. Man, it was a pleasure. Good to talk to you. Well, thanks for coming on.